and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities and TAAEF Room to Grow podcast series. For everyone who doesn't know what TAAEF means, that means Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation. It's a lot to say.
It's a mouthful. Definitely a mouthful.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Sam, for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
So this episode, we're going to ask Sam some very intriguing questions. And I hope that through Sam's story, you will find some value in this episode. So,
All right.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and, just a little background.
I work for Camp Construction. I've been in the industry for about 9 years now.
Where'd you come from before?
I grew up in Houston.
Okay.
Went to Texas A&M.
Gig 'em.
I graduated from A&M and I moved to New York City.
Wow.
I was in New York for about 8 years.
Amazing.
And met my wife at the time.
Aw.
She was a girlfriend at the time. We got married in New York. We moved to Los Angeles.
Awesome.
We were in LA in Southern California for about 10 years.
Is that when I first met you? Over the phone?
Yes,
oh,
it
okay,
was.
cool.
I was out in LA. I was
Cool.
in LA. Moved around a couple times, lived in Orange County for about a year, and then moved, had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And when she turned 2, it was to the point where we wanted to kind of come back to Texas and be closer to family.
Yeah.
So we've been back here since 2010.
God, awesome. That's great. So who do you work for now, and how'd you get into that? Where are you at now?
I work for Camp Construction.
Okay.
They're based in Houston, and I'm in Austin right now.
Okay.
I've been with them for about 6 years so far.
And how'd you fall into that, or did you just happen upon it?
No, when I got into the industry, I was working for another company, and I started getting involved in the association. And when I did, for whatever reason, any event I was at, when I went to TAA or local events, there was something about camp that just resonated.
Okay.
And I was just kind of at the point where I knew that that's the company that I wanted to work for.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of started dropping the seeds, networking with people that were there.
Yeah.
And then had a buddy of mine that ended up getting hired over there, so I cornered him and told him that he had to hire me.
That always works. But you were involved in your local first, right? When you first came into the industry, was it by accident? You just looked at it and said, hey, maybe I should check out? Or, was it just circumstance?
Then I got involved in the association.
Well, the apartment industry, the other company, were they already in the apartment business?
They were, correct.
Right, okay.
They were there. They didn't have a presence in Austin.
Got it,
so
okay.
when I got hired on by that company, I had other people that I knew in the industry.
Got
and they
it.
were like, if you want to build your business and build your network of people, definitely start showing up to the apartment association.
There you go. Yeah,
and I
okay.
did, and it was great.
It is, yeah, amazing. I knew one person when I moved to DFW, and when I started my business back in the day, I got involved in my local, and that's, where I met everybody, and, the rest is history. Anyways, yes. So how many years now total have you been in multifamily?
9.
9 years total.
Yep, it's
Okay.
flown by.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When you're having fun, it always does, doesn't
Exactly,
it?
exactly.
What do you love the most about multifamily?
Well, the people are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, 99% of the people that I work with or I see regularly, they're just great people.
Yeah.
And you work with a lot of the same people. There's networking across markets.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small community kind of. I mean, we're big,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems small. It's very kind of family oriented.
Yeah, absolutely. So the people and being involved, how did you decide to get involved in because so many people now after 9 years, tell me about your first experience, going to a local meeting, and maybe there's somebody that introduced you to other people or whatever, just give me a little background about that.
Sure. I remember 2 very distinct memories. One was at the old Austin Apartment Association venue, and the other one was the first meeting. I didn't know anybody.
Okay.
So they were like, go, 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 you need to go. So it was downtown. It was, it was at a restaurant that's no longer there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walked in, I signed my name, and I was kind of standing at the bar, not knowing anybody. Mm-hmm. And this lady walked up, and she's like, hey, are you new here? And I was like, yeah, I don't know anyone. I was just honest. So I kind of told her what I was doing. And she grabbed me and walked me around the entire room and introduced me to everybody.
That's
and said,
awesome.
hey, this is Sam Levassar. This is what he does. Can you get a business card? It was awesome. I mean, that was my first experience, and it was JR. Well, she's been in the industry for a long time.
Okay.
But super helpful.
She a supplier or management person?
She's a supplier.
Okay.
She is now, I think she's going back and forth. I can't remember, but
okay.
she's...
but still, she was super friendly and just, you know, made sure that you knew people, or that you got introduced, so you were not out there.
Exactly. So I wasn't standing in the corner by myself going, okay, this is so awkward, this is so awkward. So she did that. And then moving forward, you know, the next meeting I went to, I knew 2 people. And the next meeting I went to, I knew 6 people. And then it just kind of grew from there.
What committee did you volunteer for first?
Membership.
Membership, okay.
It was a lot bigger then. We were in a different space, but there was a ton of people that were involved. And I always tell this story, and it embarrasses Brooke. But
Why?
The past
Brooke Mahoney?
Brooke Mahoney.
Shout out to Brooke Mahoney.
So the very first meeting we went to at the association itself, it was a membership meeting, and I guess it was right before TAA. I'd never been at TAA. And there was a whole bunch of new people in there, and so Brooke's like, hey, have y'all been to TAA? Who's going? People raise their hands. Who's never been? A couple people raise their hands. And somebody asked, well, you know, can you tell us what's TAA like? What's going to happen? And she sat there for a second. She goes, you know, TAA is like spring break for adults.
Okay. But she explained it that TAA is a lot of fun, and you get a lot done, and you meet a lot of people, right? Would you say?
Absolutely. You know, jokes aside, she encouraged everybody that it is a great networking
opportunity. Event, yeah.
There's tons of people there, and I went to a lot of the classes. Obviously at the show the whole time, people were coming by the booth, and it was the first TA I had was a great experience. They've all been great, but the first one's a little overwhelming because you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah. Unless somebody takes you under their wing and says, here, you should da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Well, I'll share and give a little shout out to Mr. Rick Graff, because I was involved in the AGD ATC, you know, in my local, and I was like, what is this TA all about? And he goes, well, you got to get involved. He's like, you know what? Why don't you come with me as my guest? You know, I was like, okay. But anyways, long story short, he actually invited me, like Nicole Block always says, invited me to the party.
Yeah.
You know, and I stood up, you know, to go ask. She always says, you know, you can get invited to the party, but if you don't ask someone else to dance or you don't participate, then what good is it, right? So, because I was on the AGD's local committee for the Hispanic Task Force. That's a whole other podcast. But
do you speak Spanish?
That's the point. I am Latin, I'm a half-breed, and my Spanish is really bad. So anyways, long story short, he said, you know, come as my guest, and, you know, and I just took the initiative to be on, I actually was on the technology, it wasn't even a committee then, it was just technology task force, and, you know, just from there, it
was blown up.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, from there, I just met, and you, like you said, you knew one person, then you know 2 people, then, you know, and everybody is so welcoming, and they introduce you to someone else. So if it's not a management owner person, it's going to be a supplier.
Right.
You know, we are very, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like I should always pay it forward by bringing in the new kid on the block.
100%.
My heart just goes out to them because I know how that feels.
That's it. Pay it forward, and because I had a lot of people do that with me.
Yeah.
So, and it had a lasting impact on the way that I viewed the association, the way I engaged other people in the association, and I think it's very rewarding now to having been involved for so long to be able to grab somebody and go, hey, you know, have you met this person? Have you met this person? What do you do? Who do you need to meet? Oh, okay, hey, come over here. Let me introduce you to them. So it's great.
Yeah. Well, when Billy called me up and said, hey, will you know, help Sam out? I was like, I guess. But I had already talked to you.
But it was super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my point is that others that were your mentors or guiding, when they ask you to do those things for other people, you just think nothing. Absolutely, tell them, you know, whatever. Because somebody stepped up, like Billy Griffin, shout out Billy, was one of the first people I met at HAA. You know, AGD, Angie Pusteri, but just every local association that I've ever been in across the United States, it was one person that introduced me. Kim Adams, shout out Philadelphia, like it is them stepping up and helping you, and therefore I always feel like I need to pay that forward. Do you feel the same way?
I do. I mean, you know, I was fortunate. JR helped me, and then Travis Fowler, who was already involved at the time from Century, did a lot. Terry Needham, who's at PS Landscapes, who's still involved, did a lot for me. Brooke Mahoney grabbed me. She was the president at the time.
I love Brooke, yes.
And made sure that I met everybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those 3 people probably stand out the most to me because they went out of their way. Once I started showing interest
Yes.
in showing up and being involved and
volunteering.
wanting to do things,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier for somebody to grab you and go, hey, come on,
Yeah.
come on, let's go.
Renee Clark was my Austin connection. That's a whole other podcast for another day. But it is like a big family because you have so much history with them over this time in your career, you
Sure.
know, however long, you know, you want it to be, or, you know, it is. It's definitely great. So you got involved at your local and then got involved at TAA. How did you get to the point where you became the very first Room to Grow ambassador?
That's it.
Is that awesome? How did that happen?
Well, it all kind of happened separately.
Because you're kind of famous, you know that, right?
So famous, yes. Yeah. You know, I was involved, I went all the way through the local level. I
Okay.
served on PSC.
That's the key.
That's the
Yeah.
key. I got involved and I started, you know, I think something to note, it's very important that if you see a path that you want to go on, tell people the direction you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And tell people that are in that situation that I want to get involved. How did you do this?
Yeah.
How do I get involved? What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could want to be on PSC forever, and if nobody knows it,
Yeah.
they you know,
Correct.
it's a lot
Speak
easier for
up.
them to help you. Exactly,
Yeah,
speak
speak
up.
up.
So
Mhm.
I did that, and I got on PSC. I went all the way through, and in Austin, the chair is called Vice President of the Apartment Association, which I was the chair of PSC,
Awesome.
and then they retired me and put me out. They didn't want me around
Pasture.
anymore.
Out to pasture.
Exactly, gone. And at the very end, I knew that I wanted to get involved on the state level. And it's very odd, as a matter of fact. There's nothing you can look up that says this is how you need to be,
No.
what you need to do to get on product service schedule.
Not even Google. Google's your mother.
You know what? Maybe we
should
should
try
put
it.
something out there on Google and go, this is how you do it. But I asked several people, I was like, what do I need to do? And they're like, well, you need to talk to Lynn. And somebody else would be like, hey, you need to talk to
Yeah.
the chair of PSC. So I started telling everybody. I think I told the chair at the time. I wrote emails to the then president or the upcoming president of TAA. And it took me about 3 years, and I think finally they must have had a meeting that said I bothered him enough, and he wants to get involved.
Didn't.
That
No,
let's get him on.
There was
So-
a voting process, and you volunteered. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
No, I know. I think it's just a process, and having been involved now, this is my 3rd year. It's great. It's just it's dealing with different issues and different things that come up, but it's been again super rewarding.
Our industry issues that we need to fight for. So, what would you tell someone to get them interested in taking a look at the apartment industry?
You know, I tell people this all the time. If I would have known what I know now when I got out of college, I probably would have started at
Earlier.
that point.
I say the same thing too.
There's so many great things about our industry. Number one, I already mentioned the people, and I think the great thing about what we do is it's not going anywhere.
We're recession proof.
Yeah, we are. I mean,
We are recession proof.
which is great.
Yeah.
And it may take a lull a little bit, but we're not going to lose jobs. We're not going to be out of business. And right now we're going through such a high point that it's a great time to get in. Not that there wouldn't be any bad time to get in, but I think if you get in on any level, you can kind of get in, and once you show interest and get involved in something you like, there's so many different directions you can go. You can go to the supplier partner side, yes. So there's so many different ways you can go. You can get involved on the supplier partner side. You can get involved on the management side.
Yeah, and you can be in marketing, you can be in accounting, you can be in HR, you can be in operations.
IT.
Exactly, IT. There's actually IT departments now.
Yeah.
Departments. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So I think there's so much opportunity, and even still, from the time I got in, I always had people asking me, "Hey, do you know somebody? Hey, do you know somebody?" Hey, I probably get
Me too.
2 calls,
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
Hey, we're looking for somebody. So I think that it's a great place. There's so many things you can do.
100%. On every level, on both sides, whether it's
Correct.
owner-operator or a supplier side, there is so much opportunity that people just don't understand. And I talked previously with one of our last guests the other day about how she came from the bartending industry. Casey Kuhn, shout out.
Hey, I was a bartender
You were?
for about 20 years. I bartended forever. When I was in New York, I was a bartender. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the similarities to, because she got recruited from being a bartender to a leasing agent, then she moved her way up and has been with the same company, shout out Madera, for 13 years, but I don't remember, she just got a promotion, but she has moved her way up in that 13 years. And she was like, I mean, for you, like the hours, and she loved, the normal hours, you get holidays off, just all the benefits.
Correct.
I mean, the money was kind of like, and she explained that eventually somebody told her that because bartenders do make a lot of money, people.
Lots of money.
But so do leasing folks who get a base salary plus their commission. You sell, and you're gonna get that money, the same amount of money.
And it's during the daylight hours.
Amen.
Yeah, you can get
no
up,
weekends, people.
No weekends. You're done. You don't have to get your shift covered.
Well, when you're a leasing person, that's kind of, but it depends. But you have way better hours. It's 9 to 6 or 8 to 5 or whatever it is. But you definitely can get holidays. You're closed on most of that day.
Paid holidays. If you take time off, you don't not get paid. You actually make money.
If you get sick, you don't not get paid.
Right.
They're
sick.
It's
crazy like that. That's the first thing I remember. And it's a transition because you're used to having that cash on hand.
Yes.
But I think, once you get over that and kind of
get over it, and you grow into the big girl guy pants, whatever it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But they are similar in that it's. You're dealing with people. You're
customer
service.
Yes,
exactly.
And selling without selling, or if you have to hard sell, some places, but it is customer service oriented. It's people friendly. No day is ever the same.
Right, and you don't have to drag bar mats out anymore.
Or smell stinky.
Exactly. So it's
that's awesome.
It's a great I think it's a great industry to be in.
Absolutely, 100%. So, what was the best advice you were ever given? It doesn't matter if they're in the industry or not, that really resonates with you in your career that you went to help you get to that next level or just get you through the day.
I think I said this before. I've said it a couple times. So I showed up at a meeting and Terry Needham was then PSC chair, and I went up to her and I was like, Terry, what do I need to do? How do I get involved? What do I need to do? And she just looked at me and she goes, just show up. And I was like, okay. And I did. I just showed up and things started happening. I mean, that was probably the best advice that I had, that and return people's phone calls.
Oh my God.
Which is surprising how many people don't do that.
Yes,
just respond. That's probably the two best pieces of advice. You got if somebody calls.
I was like, Sam, it's okay.
I guess I get panicked now.
No, I get it. I feel the same way. I like to at least return the phone call or the text.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So I would say both. Just show up and then, be courteous to people. If you call somebody, you want to call back as well. Yeah. So, I think once you do that, there's a lot of people in this industry that don't do that. And I think, something as simple as being responsive sets you apart.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
High five. Yeah. Well, how can folks connect with you if they want to know more about you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook.
How do you spell your last name?
It's Levassar.
Oh, it's so hard to say. Easy to spell.
Levassar. It's like the college.
Levassar.
Levassar.
Sam Levassar.
Because I know people call and say, is this Sam Levassar? I'm like, no, you got the wrong person. They're trying to get me for something. So
okay, got it.
Yeah, Levassar.
I just call you Sam.
Sam.
Okay.
Sam works too.
That works too. Awesome. Well, Sam, I really appreciate you sitting down with me and being on this industry episode / TAAEF.
I love it.
Series. So, if Sam's advice resonated with you, found value, or you know somebody who needs to hear it, please tag them in the comments, share, it would be awesome. And tune in next week for more industry celebrities, TAAEF.
Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation.
Because there's so much room to grow in multifamily.